Chapter 6. Borrowing the spiritual creature from the famous mountain. Immortals and heroes talk through the night, slaying the demon snake in the ancient cave. Father and daughter reunite. After Grandmaster Bayan finished speaking, she took down from the wall a long box cast from refined iron, extremely sturdy. She then took out from a gourd dozens of pills. Next, she opened the box lid. Inside lay coiled a centipede defiant for Yuan Long, its entire body covered in reed scales flashing with light. Its two eyeballs were the size of tea bowls, shooting out green light that pierced the eyes. Grandmaster Bayan then placed those pills inside the box. The centipede suddenly began to stir restlessly. The Grandmaster hurriedly closed the box lid. The bearded Taoist said, "Such a spiritual creature minus its poison must be more formidable than the snake demons. I wonder how Grandmaster Kan Xia originally captured it." Grandmaster Bayan said, "When Grandmaster Kan Xia was young and still a maiden in her boudoir, she was most mischievous. One day she caught a centipede minus only 3 or 4 Yuan long. She put this creature in a box and every day fed it some rice. As days passed, it gradually grew larger. By the time she left her chamber, this centipede was already 5 or 6 dai long. She insisted on taking it with her as part of her dowry. Her old father feared it would shock people and stubbornly refused. She had no choice but to have someone carry this centipede to the mountains and release it. Later her husband died and she was taken under the tutelage of the divine nun Yuden Grandmaster, refined into a sort immortal, and returned to that mountain to take the centipede as her mountain guarding treasure. For over 100 years Grandmaster Kan Xia has used talismans and incantations to refine it. He eats only immortal pills and spiritual medicines. Not only has it become divinely transformed and able to change size at will, it also deeply comprehends spiritual nature and never easily harms people. Kan Xia is extremely fond of it. This time, after I repeatedly requested and spent countless words, she agreed to lend it temporarily. Senior brother must not underestimate it." The three talked and conversed, also asking about Zhu Chen's martial skills. Before they knew it, dawn was breaking in the east. Grandmaster Bayan said, "It's time." She then said to Zhu Chen, "This trip ahead is extremely dangerous. If you wish to go, hero, you can only hide to one side and observe from a wall minus. You absolutely must not act rashly." Having said this, she arose with the 2 men and walked toward the mountain valley. At this time, a red sun had already risen above the horizon and the path ahead could be seen very clearly. Walking to a certain place, they saw the mountain terrain was extremely treacherous with not a blade of grass growing. Grandmaster Bayan said to the bearded Taoist, "This place is not far from the snake's nest. Let me go forward to lure it out. When I'm fighting with it, I'll trouble senior brother to use the Zhuan Ying's sword to cut off its retreat." Having said this, she walked forward alone. The bearded Taoist and Zhu Chen leapt onto a mountain peak. They saw in the mountain valley a large cave, so deep and dark its bottom couldn't be seen. Grandmaster Bayan walked to not far from the cave and made several whistling calls. Suddenly a fierce wind arose. Grandmaster Bayan turned around and walked back along the return path. As the saying goes, speak of the devil from the cave, and a blast of black wind rushed out a great serpent with golden scales and red eyes, about 10 zhang long, its waist thick as a wine vat. Moving thrust is flying. Seeing it at just more than half a li, Bayan suddenly turned around and shouted, "Welcome!" From her hand flew out a purple light. The snake, seeing this light, spat from its mouth flames over a zhanglong that twisted together with this light. After fighting for a while, the snake knew it couldn't win and turned around to flee. The bearded Taoist released his Zhuan Ying sword minus a streak of blue light aimed at the snake's head. The snake, seeing no way out, coiled its body in a heap and spewed fierce flames and poisonous fog, battling with these 2 sword lights. No matter how formidable the immortal swords were, they couldn't harm it in the slightest. Grandmaster Bayan and the bearded Taoist each occupied a mountain peak, directing their sword lights to oppose the snake. After fighting for half a day with no victor, Bayan had no choice but to signal the bearded Taoist, and each person withdrew their sword light. The snake, seeing the sword light suddenly retreat, thought the enemies were defeated and was about to pounce toward Grandmaster Bayan, when suddenly from her hand flew an object radiating red light so dazzling it illuminated the entire valley in red. It turned out that Grandmaster Bayan, seeing the sword still couldn't achieve victory, had released the centipede from the box. As soon as this centipede emerged from the box, it grew with the wind to over a zhang long. The snake, seeing the centipede flying toward it, knew it had met a formidable opponent and didn't dare be negligent. It desperately spewed fire and fog, battling with the centipede. After fighting for a while, the centipede bit the snake's vital 7 CUN spot with one mouthful. The snake also bit the centipede's tail. Neither would let go. The snake, suffering from the centipede's bite, continuously swept its long tail against the mountain rocks, smashing those rocks so they flew in all directions like hailstones. Minus truly a spectacular sight. By this time, the three had gathered in one place. The bearded Taoist wanted to release the Xuanying sword to help the centipede, but Grandmaster Bayan feared injuring the centipede and hurriedly stopped him. Just as they were talking, suddenly there was an earth-shaking sound. Then both snake and centipede became completely motionless. It turned out that the snake, unable to endure the pain of being bitten, swept its tail and broke off a protruding rock over a jump high at the valley entrance. It happened to fall right on its head, smashing its brains out. The centipede also died from exhaustion. Grandmaster Bayan and the bearded Taoist hurriedly flew down the mountain and used their swords to chop the snake's body into over 10 sections. Seeing the centipede was dead, she said, "At first, I was unwilling to easily release it precisely because I feared both would be harmed. Now how can I explain to Grandmaster Ken Xia? The bearded Taoist said this demon harmed the region and poisoned living beings. Now thanks to Grandmaster Ken Xia's centipede removing this great menace, the merit is not small. I think she won't blame you or me." Just as they were speaking, suddenly from the mountain peak flew down a black-robed young woman with a gourd hanging at her waist. She walked to the two and bowed, saying, "Disciple Zhu Qingyun, following Grandmaster Ken Xia's command, asks Grandmaster Bayan not to mind the centipede's death minus it was fated. My master commands me to convey to you to bring back its remains." Having said this, she walked to the centipede's side, took out a pill and placed it in its mouth. The centipede then shrank to about 7 or 8 CUN and she took it and placed it in the gourd at her side. She also said to Grandmaster Bayan, "My master said my father Zhu Chun is here minus, may I meet him?" Only then did Grandmaster Bayan realize she was Zhu Chun's daughter and was very happy for him. She called Zhu Chun down. Father and daughter reunited minus, naturally they were delighted. Zhu Chun was just wanting to seek Grandmaster Ken Xia's help. Earlier at Grandmaster Bayan's place, because he was busy with catching the demon, he hadn't had a chance to speak. Now seeing his daughter arrive was perfect for having her make the request. He told King Yun about the many armed bear Maodai seeking revenge and about going to Chengdu, and also asked Qing Yun to invite Grandmaster Ken Xia down the mountain. Qing Yun said such a small matter minus, white rebel master. Daughter came this time precisely for this matter. Since I followed master up the mountain, I've already refined my immortal sword. Because father's sword learning wasn't complete, I repeatedly asked Grandmaster to transmit teachings. Grandmaster said father has no karmic connection with her. In her life, Grandmaster has never accepted male disciples. She also said when father's opportunity arrives, naturally he'll meet a brilliant teacher. Grandmaster told father to just go 2 Chengdu minus ahead, there will naturally be someone to guide you. After daughter returns to the mountain to report, I'll also come to Chengdu to help father kill that Maodai. Hearing this, Zhu Chun felt a weight lift from his heart. Qing Yun bid farewell to the three and returned to the mountain to report. Zhu Chun thought that Grandmaster Bayan and the bearded Taoist were both famous or Immortals and had the intention to take them as masters. Grandmaster Bayan said, "Till you're over 40, your foundation, Conduct and heart are all good minus sooner or later you'll be one of us. Why rush for a moment? Currently there are many schools of sword cultivation that often cause disputes. Besides Kunlun and Demi, there are the newly created Yellow Mountain School and Five Mountain School, like water and fire. All because righteousness and evil cannot coexist. This time Mount I seeking revenge is only the beginning minus there are many things ahead. Having said this, she gathered many dead tree branches and leaves and cremated the snake's body. The bearded Taoist said that following his master Jing's old ancestors' command, he must hurry to guide a person with rich immortal roots to prevent the Five Mountain School from recruiting them. Having said this, he let out a long whistle from his lips. From the clouds descended a great immortal crane. The Taoist mounted it, said farewell, and flew soaring into the sky. Only then did Zhu Chen realize that the immortal crane fighting the snake in the mountains that day was the bearded Taoist's mount. Though he'd heard his daughter Qingyun's words, he still felt uneasy and conveniently invited Grandmaster Beiyan to help. Grandmaster Beiyan said, "Just go ahead minus this journey will definitely have no obstacles. In times of urgent danger, I'll naturally come to rescue you minus there's no need yet." Zhu Chen's heart half believed and half doubted. Having no choice, he could only bid farewell alone and set out. After traveling several days, he'd already reached Chengdu. Everywhere he inquired, people said they hadn't seen such a monk. Zhu Chen could only wait there for Qingyun to arrive. After waiting over 3 months, she still hadn't come minus his heart was very puzzled. By this time, it was late January. Inside and outside Chengdu's city walls, nunneries and monasteries stood in forests with many ancient sites. One day, sitting bored in his inn room feeling extremely listless, he casually walked outside the south gate to the Wu Hu Shrine to visit and play.